Aloha, everyone. Good morning. I'm Jason Schwartz, your host here at the Maui Neutral Zone. It's anything but neutral. I am here with a very, very special guest. Gary Leavitt has been here on Maui. How many years have you been here, Gary? Bunch of years.
20 years.
20 years. And some of you know him as an extraordinary musical talent. Some know him as a conductor of musical talent. I think I'm going to let Gary kind of give you an update. Gary, when you got here, did you come here for music or you came here for other reasons?
No, I came here for business, for work. I was working for a large insurance company at the time, and I had been speaking with the local agent here on Maui, and it just kind of bubbled up that he was going to retire and asked if I wanted to take over his agency here on Maui. And so I did. And that's what got me here.
Wow. But when I think of you, I didn't even think of that stuff, because when I heard your name, I heard from my partner, Ariel, you have to join this chorus. The guy that's leading it, he is so much fun. We don't know if he's a stand-up comedian or a musician, or you made it so much fun. You were, how did you involve yourself in hearing music? I guess you have a background in music. You went in.
Yes. I went to the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston for college, and I was fortunate enough to sing all over the world and perform all over the world, in a couple different places in Europe and all over the United States, at Lincoln Center and at Carnegie Hall and places like that, all that kind of stuff. And so it's always been my hobby / passion on the side, and then I always had a day job to pay the bills. And so when I got here, of course, I wanted to get involved in the music scene here. When I first moved here, it really wasn't actually possible for a while, because my work schedule at the time prohibited me from having anything regular that I could do, because I was on different rotating shifts all the time. But eventually that settled down, and as soon as it did, I joined what was then the Maui Symphony Chorus under Celia Canty, and I sang with that group for a long time, and eventually worked my way into a board position there and working as the assistant conductor. And then we went through a restructuring at that time, and turned out the organization needed a new director. And so they said, okay, I'll do it. Sure, why not? Well, and very fortunate. When I took over, we had 35 people in the chorus, and now we're at over 100.
I think that you were very generous, because I think if you can breathe and kind of almost hold the tune, you were impossible. And it grew and grew. And I got to tell you, when I first came, Ariel said, you have to come down. And I thought, well, I'll come and watch, but I'm really not a choral kind of guy. I'm more like a solo singer. But you made it so much fun. I said, this is like going to a show every time. Did you ever lead a group like this before? You were terrific doing it.
Yeah, I've worked in several other associate director positions and conducting positions before, with small groups. Even when I was still in the Navy, I directed a brass ensemble when I was in the Navy. I've directed several other small choruses, and of course church choirs throughout my career. And then this came up. Wonderful opportunity came up here.
And I think that people on Maui, when they think, again, I don't want to kind of get funny about it, but you have brought music into the heart of people that so much love it and didn't think they had any way to be able to enjoy it in anything like you. You have really made it alive. And the stuff that you choose. How did you choose your music? Just inspiration?
Well, part of it's inspiration, an awful lot of perspiration. Anyone who's a conductor will tell you that, we're very weird, because we're always listening to Christmas music in February, because we have to think that far ahead so we can know where we're going down the road. But the way I choose music is I try to pick a balanced program that will appeal to the broadest spectrum of people. So that goes for the singers as well as the audience. So I'll try to have a couple of pieces that are very interesting, that will stretch people, their minds a little bit. basically I'll look for a familiar tune that they know that's done in a very unusual way. So try to find something that's a new version of something that they already will recognize. And then I'll always pick a few standards that they will recognize, and then just try to push them along a little bit here and there. So I try to keep the whole thing very balanced as far as genre and difficulty, so that nobody feels left behind, but everybody should feel a little challenged. So it tries to keep it balanced. I don't want people coming in who can't read music and go, there's no way I can learn this. So between rehearsal tracks and other tools that we put together for people, it's always been my goal to make it accessible for everybody, as long as they can carry a tune in a bucket.
Yeah, and I guess now a lot of us were hoping to have a show, but suddenly COVID-19 arrived on the scene and kind of stopped everything.
Yeah.
Any plans? You know what I guess it's hard to just kind of figure out when you're going to open up and be able to do another performance.
We really have no way of knowing that, because the board is very firmly committed to not putting anyone in any sort of danger or risk.
Yeah.
And so, as I understand it, the latest discussions were we would not entertain rehearsing again or performing again until we had a vaccine in place, and anybody who wanted to sing with us would have to show proof of vaccination.
Right.
Yeah, because it's just a safety thing. All it takes is one person to get sick, because let's face it, the majority of our members are a little bit older and may have underlying health conditions. They are the definition of the high-risk group, and singing is the definition of high-risk activity for COVID. So with those two together, until it's as safe as we can make it, there's no way we're coming back.
Yeah. Well, and now you're off to the Big Apple.
Back to New York, from whence I came.
And whence I came also. That's, are you excited to be going back to New York?
Very, very excited. It's been a wonderful stay here on Maui, but I think now, for where I am in my career, it's time for me to move back to the big city and throw my feet back into some other organizations there that I used to sing with and perform with, and plus my day job, I've got a wonderful opportunity which brought me back there in the first place. So all the signs are aligned that it's time to move back.
Well, what kind of work are you going to be doing? I'm just curious.
Well, I'll still be working for the federal government, just for a different agency, and I'll be basically a strategic planner for them. So I'll be working with a team of about 8 people, and we'll be doing lots of large infrastructure projects on an international scale.
Wow, what a great thing for you.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Well, I hope that you'll come back here and visit us. And I don't know how that would work, but I bet you could be a guest conductor here anytime.
I wouldn't say no. I would love it.
Can you give us a kind of your musical history here on Maui? I know you probably can pull up all kinds of names. There are all kinds of people and all kinds of, everywhere I go and I say the word Gary Leavitt, they go, oh, Gary, he's leaving us? You've been performing here as well as, I know that you have. You were the chief pirate in Pirates of Penzance, right?
Yes. If you want to go back to when I first got here, I didn't do community theater for a long time, again, because of the scheduling issues. So I started off with the Maui Symphony Chorus, and then I morphed into what became Maui Choral Arts after the symphony disbanded. And then my first community theater experience on Maui was actually Les Mis with MAPA, the first of the big shows that they did. And so I did Les Mis, and I was just a chorus member in there. I had a few little featured parts in there where I had a couple of lines here and there. But I remember the ensemble, had a wonderful time doing that show. I also understudied for Javert, Jerry Eiting's part, just as a backup. And it was fun to learn all that music, which was really exciting. After Les Mis, I immediately went into rehearsals for Fiddler on the Roof, where I was cast as Tevye, the lead role for Fiddler, which was, of course, my favorite, dearest role to do ever, anywhere. At the same time, I was working down in Pro Arts in Kihei at the theater down there, and I did a show called Bermuda Avenue Triangle. And then I followed that up with the Putnam County Spelling Bee. which I did right after that, which was a fun show. I played the vice principal, and I got to ad-lib a whole bunch of stuff and just be silly and stupid, which is what I'm really good at. So I just was silly and stupid. And at that time, that's when I kind of got pulled into Maui Choral Arts and started rebuilding that. And then I stayed with the MAPA summer shows. And after that first show, I then got recruited to be the musical director for all of their following shows. So I was the music director for Miss Saigon. And then the following year, I was the music director for Hunchback of Notre Dame and Into the Woods. And I'm missing one. Oh, Jekyll and Hyde and Jekyll and Hyde. So those are all the big shows I music directed for those. And then at the same time, I was very fortunate that I was able to guest conduct with the Maui Pops, because we did a joint concert with them between Maui Choral Arts and Maui Pops. So I've been on that podium, and I've been a featured soloist with the Maui Chamber Orchestra before and sung in that chorus as well. So I've been around here and there, done a few things, and then our 2 concerts a year with Maui Choral Arts. So keeps me busy and keeps me off the streets and out of trouble.
Well, you get in trouble anyway, I know.
I try.
Well, you know, I can't imagine what it's going to be like here without you. I mean, you have such a great presence here, and you've really made the lives of so many people, you know, more joyous by who you are and what you do. You've been really a blessing to Maui.
And I'm super happy. That's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for in life, is to try to bring a little light to someone else's life. That's what it's all about. And if I can spark an interest in music and in singing to anyone, then it's you know, job well done. I'm happy. So it's a good thing.
Have you any thoughts on what you see Maui's future in music going to be? Have you kind of mapped out anything for the people here on Choral Arts? I know you're so involved. I keep thinking, I can't imagine you gone. You know, I really mean that.
Mm-hmm.
You set the pace and the tone. You're going to be hard to replace.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I have a very unique skill set, so it's going to be, you know, it'll be different. Whoever moves into the artistic director role, it's going to be a different organization, and that's okay. You don't want a cookie cutter, the same person, you know, going forward. That's why when I first started with Maui Choral Arts, I made a point of, and at least one concert each season, bringing guest conductors in. You know, I had Bob Wills guest conduct one season. I had Vanya Jerome come in and guest conduct. I had Stephen Rodriguez come in and guest conduct. And that's because it's always good for a chorus, and it's always good for an audience to feel the perspective of different conductors, because that's how we grow as an audience. That's how we grow as a musical organization, is by being exposed to different perspectives musically. So whoever takes over this job will bring a new perspective, but hopefully it's one that people will embrace and grow with the same faith that they did with me. Because I came in, no one knew what to expect. They knew how the chorus was run before, and the kind of music that was chosen before. And I was really an unknown quantity. And the first 2 concerts, I was kind of, with programming, I was feeling out what was working and what wasn't working, because I initially leaned towards a more classical programming style, but I realized I was missing people. People weren't latching on with that harder approach, that more conservative approach. So I opened it up then to the broader spectrum, which we settled into as of now. And whoever takes over, I'm sure will do the same thing. There's a lot of really wonderfully talented people here on Maui who haven't had the opportunity to show that side of themselves. And hopefully when the chorus is ready to do that search, and fortunately or unfortunately because of COVID, we're not in a rush to make that decision, because we're not going to be singing probably for another year. So it's fine to just take our time and see what bubbles up and what's the right fit. And I think that will be the biggest key, is who's the right fit.
Who's that group of people behind you?
That's Maui Choral Arts.
They looked all familiar. Is that a banner or something? Or is that I can't tell. Is that
That's just a photo from one of our concerts.
A virtual background?
Virtual background.
Oh, well, there you are now. I see you.
Yeah, here I am. Hello.
Hiding behind yourself.
Hiding behind myself as one does.
That's what it does. You know, when I think about interviewing you, I'm almost running out of things to say, in that I think what people expect me to do is give you room to be the Gary that they love. You know, I don't know if you just had a joking style. It's almost like it just kept people on their toes and waiting for the next one-liner. Mm-hmm. Have you ever done stand-up comedy?
Nothing officially, but that's kind of always been the way my brain works. Is it's sort of a stream of consciousness kind of thing. And especially when I'm doing music, I'll hear something, a pair of chords that will spark a memory for me. And then that memory tends to be something silly. And so then I share that with everybody. And if I share that then leads me to something else, which then leads me to something else. And then next thing you know, I'm talking about, falling sperm whales with a bowl of petunias on their head, falling to Earth in the middle of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and then zipping off into a totally different direction about, a banana and a purple flower. I don't know.
Oh, no, I know. It was just always just fun to watch you, and people in the group would like egg you on. They're like trying to think of what they can to kind of spark Gary to go into a routine. So that was always fun.
Doesn't take much. Prompt me a little bit, and I'll just start. And then people are like, can we sing a little bit here? Because you're running your mouth a lot. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Nah, we didn't worry about the singing. We were enjoying you. I tell you, I just enjoyed you. I was there more for you than anything, tell you the truth. You were just a highlight. I was just even better than going to the concert was going to the rehearsals.
Well, that's one of the things I liked about the whole process. And one of the things for me that's always so important is, we all have varying amounts of stress in our daily lives, whether it be work or bills or relationships, but we all have stress in our lives in various forms and formats. And so what I always tried to do, and was always a central part of what I wanted this chorus experience to be, wasn't always so much about, let's learn to make sure that the F sharp comes on beat 3, and make sure that you pronounce a big O sound with a good rounded O on the third syllable of this word, and make sure that, the dynamic goes exactly like this every time. But instead, I wanted it to be more about, I had a really awful day today, but now I'm at chorus rehearsal and everything's fine. And that becomes a refuge and a haven where you not only can just let all that go at the door, but then smile and laugh a little. And you know what happens? Your blood pressure goes down and your face stops being so wrinkled up on top because you're worried so much, and your muscles relax, and then your shoulders come down, and you end up leaving relaxed. Your blood pressure's down, your heart rate is down, and you've got a smile on your face and a couple of tunes bouncing around your head. And then you can go home and go back to the real world, and it's okay.
And you had a fairly rigorous rehearsal schedule. So it's amazing that you had such a large group of committed people. I mean, what was the last show? It was like 100 people.
We were over 100. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a little nuts. But it's interesting, and this is a dynamic that's been studied in choruses worldwide. Once you reach a certain critical level of numbers of people in a chorus, their individual abilities really don't matter as much, because it becomes a sort of a herd mentality, and everyone starts to pick up everything faster because they're surrounded by people. So if you've got 30 people all singing bass, then you may not know measure 4, but somebody else does, and you'll hear it. But you might know measure 8, and maybe that guy doesn't know, and so he'll hear that. And so it becomes this common denominator thing where everybody has a different piece of the puzzle. And if there's enough people there, we get the whole puzzle. Right. And therefore, it makes it easier for everyone to learn very difficult music if there's enough of you. And you make a more beautiful sound if there's enough of you, because all of the different qualities of sound that we all make individually balances out. And, you may have somebody that talks like Harvey Firestein because they've been smoking for 50 years. And, they might sing like, hallelujah, whatever. If you blend that with 300 other people who have a beautiful voice, then they get the experience of singing and all the fulfillment of that, and we still get a nice sound out of it because it all blends together.
I hear you have a chorus there. Is that one puppy or big puppy? Four puppies.
And they've decided that now, of course, is the time they want to start doing laps back and forth behind me. Because why not, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, they get a little excited. Next thing you know, they're just barreling back and forth. I've got one little dachshund and then 3 lab mixes of various sizes.
Wow.
The largest one being almost 90 pounds.
Are they coming with you to the East Coast?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And that's been a logistical challenge. Let me tell you.
How do you do that? You got to kind of
very carefully. Very carefully. The little guy is going to ride with us in cabin all the way out, so that's no problem.
Wow.
That's easy. The other 3 are going to have to go in cargo. And I don't know yet if they're all going to fly out the same day, or 1 on one day, 2 on the other, or 1 on 3 different days. Because the airlines only make their cargo schedule 2 weeks out prior to the flight date. And I'm not leaving till the end of the month, so I can't actually get those details yet. But I've got the crates here, and they're getting used to sitting in the crates. So they're having their treats and stuff in the crates. And then one way or another, one at a time, they're going to come. I'll have somebody here. We'll bring them to the airport after I get there. And they'll bring them and drop them at the airport. And then I'll be waiting at the other end to greet them and pick them up from there.
Wow. What a great experience. Are you going to live in New York, in Manhattan, or where are you guys going to be?
No. Even though there are apartments that are affordable to buy in Manhattan.
There are?
There are. The prices have dropped ridiculously in Manhattan right now because people have fled the city because of COVID.
Oh.
But the problem with Manhattan apartments is even if you get the purchase price down, the monthly maintenance charges are still ridiculously high. And you can't ever get those down. And those run sometimes $3,000 to $6,000 a month. And I'm like, no.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. Bless you if you live in Manhattan. I can't afford it. But we're looking at most likely either Queens or most likely Brooklyn. So I've got a couple of realtors I'm working with up there, and they found us some beautiful places that they've already pre-vetted will be okay with the 4 dogs.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So that's going to 4 dogs. Wow.
I know. It's great.
You got to find running room or find somewhere to.
Oh, yeah. We're looking at places that are near parks. We're trying to figure all this into our house hunting equations.
Oh, so what kind of musical groups are you thinking about in New York? Are they places mostly where you were before?
Well, there are definitely 2 that I've been with before. The first one is a large group. It's about 200 singers, and that's the New York Choral Society. They're very, very well known. They do a lot of stuff with the big orchestras in the city, and they're wonderful. They do a lot of the classical repertoire mostly. I did a wonderful concert with them, a holiday concert with them, featuring Peter, Paul, and Mary were the guest artists, and we were their backup chorus for their holiday album. So that was a lot of fun, and that was at Lincoln Center. That was at Avery Fisher Hall. Well, it was called Avery Fisher Hall at the time, and now it's Getty Hall, I think it is. Geffen Hall, and
David Geffen, boy,
yeah.
Wow.
So
it's not called Trump?
No, it's not.
That's good.
So that's one chorus I'm going to go back to. And then the other one I'll go back to for sure is the New York City Gay Men's Chorus, because they're just always fun and light music and great camaraderie, and they're just a hoot and a half. So I definitely want to go back to them. And then we'll see what else percolates up and see what's there, because I haven't been in the singing scene over there for so long. There may be other fun things that I want to get involved in too, once everything starts happening again.
Are you going to be working in Manhattan or one of the other places?
No, my office is actually down in Brooklyn. So could be a convenient commute for me to stay in Brooklyn.
I got you. Last time I was there was so long ago. I'm sure it's completely different than I remember. But,
a lot has changed just in the time I was away. It's a much nicer city now.
That's
There
good to
seems to
hear.
be more kindness and empathy in the people, and they've upgraded a lot of the infrastructure. There's like Wi-Fi now in most of the subways. It's like kind of crazy. So you can still be on your phone and everything, even on the subway.
That wasn't the dachshund, was it? No, that was
No,
one.
that was Big Clyde. That's the big boy.
Woo!
He's out in the backyard just hoofing away.
So is Jace excited about going? I imagine it's a
Yes, he
probably
is.
exciting experience there, huh?
Yep. He was the impetus to get the whole thing to happen. We went on vacation there 2 years ago, and at the end of it all, he had really fallen in love with the city, and just said, "Is there any possible way we can move here?" I said, "If you're sure you want to do it, I can make it happen. Just give me a little time to put the pieces in place." And so off we go.
What an exciting experience. I always have that thing of, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. But here you are. You have made it in Maui, which I think is really, we should make a new song, but making it in Maui and then bringing that back to New York is a great gift to them. And you are a great gift to them. Really
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. I've been so fortunate to have such a wonderful and rewarding musical experience here, and to share it with so many people. I've been with 2 different church choirs as well as all these groups that I do with the community singing and the theater with, and it has just been such a joy to share all of these different projects with everybody, and then the audiences too, who seem to have loved it. So it's been a hoot.
Do you have any kind of base of friends in New York, or are you going kind of cutting a new road?
No, actually, I'm not cutting a new road. My best friend from high school still lives in the city, and that's who we stayed with when we went on that vacation 2 years ago. So I've got that built in. I've got some family who still live out on Long Island, so I've got family in the area, and some other folks that we know as well. So yeah, we're not going into it blind as far as social contacts either.
Right. I think I'm just looking at time. We got plenty of time, although, we can do it any way we want. I feel like I want to give you the floor to kind of say hello and in some ways goodbye, at least for now, with a lot of people here on the island. Would that be a powerful time for you? Want to do
Sure,
that?
I think that'd be lovely. Yeah.
So I figure almost like looking in the camera and talking to some of your friends out here who I know have been asking. So many people have asked me to bring Gary Leavitt on again. They really love you.
Well, it's been an amazing experience, and I think first, as I'm looking at things, a lot of people I need to be thankful for. Initially, if you look at the people who've allowed me to make these contributions musically, I have to thank all the people who have ever served on the Maui Choral Arts Board, especially the current board. But there have been a lot of people that have served on that board over the years who helped save the course from extinction when things were going rough for it, and putting it all together, and then asking me to be the musical head of it, and then kept it all going. So we've had, a great board president who's also herself, she went back to the mainland a while back, Carolyn McCammon, and we've had Carly Rose, who was a board president for a while, and Liz Leavitt, who is the current board president, and no relation to me, by the way. These people who sit in that driver's seat are the ones that really keep the ship going in the right direction. And that goes then for all the board members who serve. And there's so many of them over the years, but the most recent ones we've got, Stacey Proctor and Al Cantorna and Molly Fleming and Gina Duncan and all the other people that have been serving on the board. Cheryl, who handles all of our books, Cheryl Lindley, the amazing cellist, who can do so many things. She's a whiz at so much. She's the executive director of the Maui Pops, and she does our books, and she's a cellist, and she's incredible. And of course, I couldn't have done any of this music without Lotus, our accompanist, our pianist. Without her there to enable me to do what I do, none of it would happen, because I can't play piano, and I need someone to do that stuff for me, to help me bring my thought process out into a tangible way. because my thought process is a little bit strange, and she understands how my mind works, which is very helpful. So, you know, so grateful for her being my partner in that experience for so long. And then, you know, looking at the people down at Pro Arts, Jonathan Lehman, who passed away, who was the big icon of Pro Arts, who allowed me to do a couple of shows with him, and everybody else who's involved in that now. You know, then over at MAPA, of course, David Johnston, who allowed me to, while I was doing a role, and he just watched me work in Les Mis, and then gave me that opportunity to take a shot, and gave me the Fiddler on the Roof opportunity, and then, which was an amazing experience to be on stage, and then to turn around and have the confidence in me to say, I want you to music direct these shows and bring them musically to life. It's been the most rewarding experience I've ever had theatrically, was being at that podium in those rehearsal processes, which were so intense and so long, because we would rehearse those shows for 16 weeks before those shows would go up. 6 days a week for 16 weeks. And just, you know, the sharing of ideas between David and Andre Morissette, the choreographer, and I, it was just so much fun to create at that level with them. And we were just like, what about this? What about this? What, we could try this, we could try this. What can we add a couple of measures in here to make that happen? Can we turn that? What do we do about that? What does that sound like? What does that mean? And then just building on all of that kind of stuff has been an amazing experience. And I'm so grateful for being allowed to participate at any level on those shows. They've been breathtakingly beautiful fun. As exhausting as they were, I would never have missed an opportunity to do that. And
yeah, and at MAPA, what about, you were also sure at the other theater also, right?
Yes, I mean, I did the Pro Arts shows, and then I did over at Maui Onstage as well. I did Pirates of Penzance over there, which is my first actual show at Maui Onstage. Was Pirates. It was the first thing I had done that was a full show. And I was about to music direct a show for them before COVID hit. I was going to music direct Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which ended up having to get put on indefinite hold because of the COVID.
Yeah.
But that would have been fun. Then I would have music directed everywhere at that point and been involved on the directing team at all the theaters. And it's been an exciting, I've been so lucky to cross-pollinate in all the different organizations. It's been just so fun. And I would have to thank, you know, all of the hundreds of singers that have come to Maui Choral Arts. And, you know, they come in on the tide and they go out on the tide, and then there's some new ones that come in and there's some that float away. And a lot of that, you know, bases on what music we're doing on any given concert. Some people were like, they love the Christmas music, so they got to be in the Christmas concert. And then in the spring, they wait and see what it's going to be. Am I going to like it? Am I not going to like it? Maybe I'll just wait till Christmas again. So some people come, some people go. But it's been wonderful to meet all these new people every concert season, and then see them become inspired to work in music and to learn and to explore their voices and figure out what it's all about, and what does music mean to you as a person. Because music, I think, affects us all very differently, but very profoundly. I think it affects us viscerally. You don't need any words to music to have this kind of impact on people. But it touches us in a very primal place. And that's why I think it's so important. So all the singers who have come and gone over the years to make it work, and all the guest artists who have come and sung with us. I know it's been circling like around Facebook lately. One of the best guest artist combos that we ever had was when Liana and Katie came and did the flower duet. You know, people are still talking about that years later. And we've had such wonderful musical moments that have happened on that stage during these concerts. And I'm just glad that we were able to manifest those and get those to happen. And we've had everything from the sublime with that. We've had bagpipes on the stage with us. We've had just about all you can imagine. We've had, you know, rock and roll combos. We've had all kinds of stuff.
And a little comedy. You brought some guests on stage. All kinds.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, we've had, you know, Kathy Collins, who's just been, you know, she's wonderful and always brings such a a light to everything she touches. And anytime I would ask her, do you want to do something with my show? Of course. Just everyone's always so willing to come and help and sing. And, people like Bob Wills taking time out of his day to conduct for a while and be a guest artist and sing for a while. And all the other people have come. Jerry's come and sung with us, Jerry Eiding, and Amber Naramore, and Molly Shad, and Lisa Paulson. And, we just have all these guest artists that have come and sung with us. And it's just, we've been so fortunate to be so interwoven into the musical landscape here. And it's funny because we're just a little community chorus, really, and yet we've really managed to touch a lot of people. And I think my connection with MAP has helped, because every year you'll see an influx of people in the Christmas show who had just done the show with me at MAPA that summer. And I would always ask when we do our meet and greet at the first rehearsal, all right, so how many of you came from Hunchback? How many of you came from Les Mis? How many of you came from Jekyll and Hyde? And, it's just interesting to see who got dragged in from where.
Well, I just think that it was you. You're the attraction. I mean, they may like singing, but working with you has been really I'm sure that's what was the grabber.
Well, if I can be the tool to get them there, that's great. But it's the music that does the magic. I just facilitate it. So they're the ones who do all the work. I
found that last show with all the foreign languages in it, that stopped me. But you had a lot of people learning Italian and all kinds of languages. That was really, Ariel was coming and singing to me in Italian and things.
Italian and French, and you name it. We've had the whole 9 yards going. German, all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah. So I really have appreciated you, and I kind of feel like I was pulled in late in the game, but I'm so happy to have met you and know you. And I wish you absolutely the very, very best there in New York. And
thank you.
I hope you'll stay in touch with us here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, it'll be fun. And it's been an amazing ride. And I couldn't have done it without all these wonderful people who've lifted me up to do these things. And these are experiences I'll be able to carry with me for the rest of my life. So it's been a wonderful time, and I'm just very thrilled. So thank you to everybody. Yeah.
And I'm sure that in my wishing you the best, my voice is for the chorus of people that really love you and wish you the absolute best there in New York, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, out there in television and radio land, we have really enjoyed spending time here with Gary Leavitt. A special thing to get him before he runs off.
Yep.
Gary, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you so much for having me again.
You are welcome anytime, and I hope you'll keep us all posted on what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And maybe we'll all come to New York and
crash on my couch. Absolutely.
We got you have a lot of people on one couch, but
it'll be cozy. It's fine.
With the 4 dogs.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us out there. We wish you a warm aloha, and thank you again. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Aloha.